everyone, and welcome to Trina Anthologies' first author interview. Today, I'm Kristy Perkins, and today we are interviewing Jack Archer on their books, starting with their most recently published one, Florida is Gone. Hi, Jack.
Hi, good to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. How are you doing?
Doing great. Living the dream out here in Florida.
Oh, the basis of your book.
Yes.
That is good. That's really good to have the basis of your book in your place.
It's all right. Kind of hot.
Yeah. I bet. Florida, I've heard Florida is pretty... Woo! I can't live in Florida.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, so we have a few questions for you today, Jack. Okay, so our first question to start is, when did you first realize you wanted to be an author or a writer?
So I think it started when I was a kid. I remember when I was 5, I wrote a story called My Lost Cat. And it was about me losing my cat and finding it and then coming home and watching Aladdin. And my grandmother loved it so much that she published it, and she made it into like a hardback book. It was like 3 pages of little scribbles. But then after that, like, I just kept writing. Like, it was a lot of stories about cats, which is kind of weird, but and then, you know, just kept writing and writing. And I think some of my most influential authors were John Varley, who's a sci-fi writer, and J.K. Rowling. But yeah, the whole Harry Potter series, it just, I don't know, really stuck with me. And that's kind of when I realized, wow, I can do so much with telling stories. And yeah, so very young.
Well, that's a good thing, and that's it's really cute for the inspiration. I love that.
Thanks.
I love the cat stories too.
I do love cats.
I love cats too. Okay, so how long does it take you to write a book, and what does your process look like?
Oh, well, seeing as how I've only written one book, it took me 7 years and 1 month to write Florida is Gone. I started it back in 2012, and just kind of went on and off until finally NaNoWriMo this past year, when I went, you know what, I'm just going to write it. And I wrote the rest of it in that 1 month, edited it. And my process is lots of alcohol, lots of editing. I have to have music on. You know, I know a lot of people can't concentrate with music, but I gotta have something on, or else I can't, you know. It's how a lot of scenes are written. So now whenever I listen to certain songs, I'm like, oh, that's when I killed that character. So, I mean, working on the other books aren't gonna take as long. I think it was just that one kind of hump I had to go over. But yeah.
Well, you have it published, so I mean, you could just be proud of yourself over that. So it doesn't matter how long it takes.
It's out.
Yes, it is, and it is on Amazon, so that is amazing. Okay, so what is your interesting writing quirk?
I don't know. I've been thinking about that one. I don't know if I have one. The only real quirk I can think of is the music bit. I think with this last story I wrote, it was a short monster story, which you will see in a few months. I listened to the exact same song for like 2 weeks straight as I wrote it, and that was the only thing I listened to. So again, now I listen to it now, and I'm like, but yeah, that's really the only quirk I can think of, is just putting stuff on repeat.
That's actually really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone really doing that before. So that is a good one. And what pushed you to self-publish instead of traditional?
Yeah, I really wanted to go traditional publishing because, that's what I've wanted to do my whole life, queer to agents, and that's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you're a real author. And the more I got into it, the more I realized there's a lot of gatekeeping in the writing community. Like, as you know, it's so tough to get in, right? And after learning about traditional publishing versus self-publishing, I talked to a lot of authors, and this one author told me she did 40 queries once and just didn't get anything. And I was like, that just sounds awful. And there's a lot of perks to self-publishing. I had to do my own cover. I had to edit everything myself. I had to format everything myself. I had to upload it. I have to mark it all by myself. But it's my book. And that's, I think, what really pushed me to go to self-publishing, is the fact that I didn't have an editor going, oh, this sucks, you cut all this out. Oh, this cover is awful. It's probably a little bit awful, but it's mine, and it's my awful book cover because, I made this for me. I made it for, to share with the world, obviously, but ultimately it's my book, and I can keep it that way. So that's kind of why I went self rather than trad.
Right. So you get a say in everything. You don't, because I think with traditional publishing, once you hand it over, it's like their full say, and with the self-publishing, you get control.
Yeah, exactly. You still kind of have creative rights over it, I think, but still, they kind of cut everything out, and they didn't even mark it for you. I didn't know that, but oh well.
Well, that's actually really good reasoning. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is something you learned about yourself while creating your book?
I learned that I am not very patient, which shouldn't have been too surprising because I'm not patient anyways. I learned that I'm pretty good at all of this technical stuff, like formatting and uploading to KDP and editing, which is not something I thought I'd be good at. It was a lot of good surprises, honestly, because it's really daunting going through that whole list of, okay, you got to format it, you got to edit it, you got to cut a bunch of stuff out, you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's terrifying. But it was a really cool, pleasant surprise figuring out that, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this, and I learned that I can finally admit that and not feel weird about it. So.
You're amazing at covers too.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it. It's really fun.
Well, that is good that you learned that about yourself. So.
Yeah. Now I can make everybody's covers.
And which is your favorite piece you've written?
I'm going to go ahead and say the name of it. Sorry, everybody. It's a part of our monster series. It's called Flash 19. I started writing it back when I was 19. I know, really, really creative there. But I don't know. It's one of the only things I've ever written that I can think on and just, I don't know. There's a lot of weird memories with it. I wrote it during a very strange time in my life. The characters in it are very dear to me. If you're a writer, you obviously know what that means. If you're a reader, you know what that means. But they're such, I mean, even more so than Florida Is Gone, which is my very first novel. Flash is just so important to me. It's a very, I'm not going to say it's self-insert, but it's got a lot of me in it. Flash has a lot of me in there, and it's a lot of me working through my, my issues. And I don't know. It's just a good story. I hope.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a very good story. You're a really good writer, so.
Thank you. Thank you. It'll be great.
Okay. So here's a big question. What does your family think of your writing?
Oh boy. I know my mom likes it. She read Florida is Gone kind of throughout the whole process. During NaNoWriMo, I would write a chapter and give it to her, and she would proofread it and be like, oh, this is kind of wonky, this is weird, or hey, this is really great, keep this up. And then she, read the whole thing when it was done. So she really liked it. My dad read it too, which is strange. I guess it's not too weird. We don't talk a whole lot. But he said it reminded him of Stephen King, which is really cool, right? I mean, if I remind you of Stephen King, that can't be too bad.
No.
Neither one of my husbands have read it, and I will say that on camera to everybody in the whole world that my husbands have not read my story. So there's that.
I think most married writers, if their spouse is not a writer, I think everyone would say that as well.
Really?
That their spouse is not read.
Does your spouse read your writing?
No.
See? What the hell? I would read everything that my husband poured out of his soul, because, that's like part of you. Mm-hmm. Even if he wrote, like, I don't know, something I'm not interested in, which is, I don't know, not a whole lot. I'm not interested in a whole lot. But, either way, even if it was really terrible, I'd read it. So.
I feel that. What are your interests outside of writing? What do you do besides writing?
Not much. I work a lot at my day job. I'm a cybersecurity engineer, which is like the complete opposite of a creative writer. When I get a chance, I play video games a lot. Gosh, I'm really boring if I'm not writing or, well, no, I do a lot of witchy stuff too. So, I do tarot cards and, do a lot of rituals and that kind of thing. So, well, we used to do a lot of stuff on the weekends, me and my family. We would, whenever I wasn't writing, we would go out to, my son's 2.5. So I would take him out to somewhere different every weekend. We go to, like, he called it Bounce Town. It's a big, like, indoor trampoline place. We go to parks, we go to, hiking, and it was a lot of fun. But with the quarantine, we had to stop. So I miss doing all that stuff because right now we're just all kind of stuck inside. But
yeah, this
one
is
day,
part of quarantine.
So
what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, Florida is Gone Part 2, which has a name that I'm not willing to reveal just yet. You can have it in a few months. Because I know everybody's like waiting with bated breath for my second book. Doing a lot of stuff with thank you. Doing a lot of stuff with Tarina. Where we've got the zombie apocalypse, the beautiful apocalypse coming out next month, which is really exciting. We've got the monster book coming out in October. Whatever we vote on this month, space, definitely the space one. I got a lot of things in the works, but I'd like to focus on the next book because I have another one after that for the Homestead series. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, so I should probably start thinking about that.
You'll get there.
I'll get there.
Okay, so we do have some reader questions.
Yay.
Okay, so first on the reader questions, what inspired you to write Florida is Gone?
Well, that's a funny story. Back in 2012, August of 2012, I was really into a webcomic that I won't name, but you can probably tell what it is by the title of Homestead. And in order for people to have read my stuff, I kind of had to make it fan fiction, or else, nobody really wanted to read original stuff on AO3. So I took my two characters that I was in love with, and I really wanted to write about the apocalypse. It was almost December 21st, 2012, and I thought to myself, how cool would it be if I just sank Florida? And as time went on, because I started writing it back in 2012, and it went on for years and years, and every once in a while I'd kind of come back to it. And I wanted to tell the story of the Florida that nobody knows. When you think of Florida, you think of, pretty beaches and Miami and palm trees, and nobody really cares about the springs or Central Florida or all the swamps and just how pretty it is. There's just crystal clear springs all over Central Florida, and every single part of Florida is gone. Every part they go to is a real place. Every road they go down, that's a real road. There's actually a map that may or may not be part of a raffle here soon, so that's fun. But I spent hours and hours and hours planning out their route up Florida, and I just wanted people to hear of these places and be like, oh, I've never heard of Alexander Springs. Oh, I've never heard of Salt Springs. Where's that? And just see a whole other side of Florida that nobody really talks about. So that's kind of what it evolved into. At first I wanted to write a story about a couple kids who fell in love in the apocalypse, and then it kind of morphed into this love-hate letter that I have with Florida. So
I love that.
thanks.
And which character of it was your favorite to write?
Oh, if you read the book, you'll know exactly who my favorite character is. You can absolutely tell. It's Ian. It's absolutely Ian. The main characters, Ryan and Joey, who I named after a friend of mine. But every single one of those characters is a part of me, as you can attest. All of your characters are a part of you, except for Ian, who is absolutely nothing like me. I am neither calm nor collected. I don't overanalyze things at all. And as I kept writing it, I realized that he's a combination of both of my husbands. Very overanalytical, doesn't talk much, doesn't show emotion much, kind of obnoxious. I'm sorry, I love you. But Ian is just he was so much fun to write just because he wasn't me at all. He was so difficult to kind of get into character. So he was just such a joy.
Well, he sounds fun.
He's something.
Okay, and here is a question you were asked earlier today. Why did you add zombies?
I add zombies. Well, one, spoilers. No, it's literally on the back of the book that they're zombies. Well, okay, they're called lustrators. All right, they're not zombies. Well, I originally added zombies because I'm boring and there wasn't enough action going on. And afterwards, I retconned it and I said, okay, well, they're still zombies, but they're really fast now. And they're kind of like the things in I Am Legend. The really weird, like, guys. And I won't spoil the book, but they are based on an incident back in 2012 that we had with Miami and some drugs. So you got to read the book to find out.
Okay, well, I guess that brings us to our last question. Where can people stalk you?
Oh boy, you can stalk me everywhere. I have a Facebook account specifically for Jack Archer. So if you search for Jack Archer on Facebook, you can add me. I have an author group that you can join. I've got a page. I have a Twitter, which is Jack from Florida. I'm also on Instagram. You can find me at Jack from Florida. I don't know if there's underscores, so you're just going to have to try both. But you can always find me with my big bright red hair, which is in all of my profile pictures. So, and you can also find my books on Amazon. And you can tell because they're bright orange. I just really like bright colors. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jack.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Of
It
course.
was lovely.
It's a lot of fun to learn about you.
Thank you.